Alright, so today we're in spectator mode because, well, let's start from the beginning here. Today, you might notice there's something a little missing here. We finally tore out that crappy cactus farm that's been here forever. It was responsible for just about all of the green dye that went into the crafting of all this glass, and we finally destroyed it, and there's nothing left to show for it, so that's finally out of the way. But I kind of want to tackle a little project today. So I've messed with these witch huts before. So if you haven't seen my channel before or anything, then welcome. But oh, somebody actually did this already. Uh, these lights are supposed to come on and disable the witch huts. And I did it one way and someone evidently changed the way I did it because I wired these up using observer clocks because it doesn't really matter, and I was going to do this anyway, but it looks like at least one of these huts has been changed. The main problem I want to face is, oh look, this one's not even changed. Okay, so this is what it looked like. Basically the observer's push down and then it turns the lights on. Well, the huts are supposed to be off right now, and I believe this one, yeah, is completely lit up, and the other ones are, the lights are on, and that's because the switches for these clocks aren't completely stable. I haven't messed with this wiring finally because it was somebody else's work. I assumed it worked, and I didn't want to mess with it too much, but yeah, the clocks are all off, but the huts aren't all disabled, and then there are these weird lighting bugs, and I don't know how to fix that without going into creative mode and stuff. So yeah, I think I'm finally just gonna tackle this kind of off camera and report back with what I find because I'm kind of annoyed with these huts not working. I mean, to be fair, they've produced just about all that we'll need. I mean, we've got plenty of redstone blocks, we've got plenty of glowstone blocks. All of these are full, and gunpowder is the only thing that we might actually continue needing from these. You can see that these aren't as full. Um, but yeah, it's just a project that's been gnawing at me, so I'm gonna fix it. Now the first thing to look into is the fact that it disables like this. So you trigger a long chain of observers and trapdoor and iron doors that open up and then send the signal down and are supposed to toggle this piston on and off. It was my understanding that this toggle on and off is actually what controls the witch huts, and I believe that controls the clocks. And I'm pretty sure, at least as far as I'm aware, that's actually functional. What isn't, however, functional is the fact that I'm pretty sure that this is the input, seeing as the long line of wiring inputs on this single block. So I was using this to trigger my observers, and this was toggling the witch huts on and off. And that hasn't been completely reliable. I don't think I've actually seen any state where it's been completely stable, so I think I need to start there. Alright, so I'm starting in one of these huts that's lit up to show you one of the changes I've made. So as of recording this, I've just fixed one of these huts over here, and let's observe the differences. So this uses the redstone dust to update all these observers, and the pistons push them down and start these little clocks. These are, as far as I'm aware, the lag is negligible, so this is why I've never been concerned with this. However, I do like the fact that the repeaters are, well, I don't know, it's easier, it's smaller, it's a lot less lag, and it's a little bit more quick in my opinion. I mean, maybe not more quick, I'm not sure. But this is kind of what it looks like, and then if I can come down here, when you toggle this thing on and off, let's just power this with a redstone block. It turns off, and then it turns on. So let's head to the other hut and show you the difference. So something I'm actually doing different than the last time I worked on this is I'm labeling these with sea lanterns because when I first worked on these, I started to lose track of which huts I'd worked on, but just a little side note. So this is what the new system looks like. It's currently off and a little lit up. Let me actually cover this so you guys can see the full effect change. Um, it's a lot less wiring. You can see it's so much more open in here, and that's one of the reasons I like this. And it looks like I missed a block to spawn proof. This is important, obviously, because you can't have anything spawning in here, but yeah, the repeaters just run along the top, and I did little things like I added a block because I'm trying to get as little redstone dust in this as possible, even though that's, I mean, look at the farm itself, and this is going to be triggering a lot more often than this, so maybe I'm being a little picky, but effectively I was able to recycle the same piston and redstone block as I had before. I just use the exact same wiring. I mean, that's maybe could be refined, but I don't really care. It's not that important. So let's just power this, and you guys can check out the difference. There you go. So it's not as quick as the other one, but it doesn't really matter. And it turns off, and it's just nice and smooth. And that should be a lot less impactful when you turn it on and off, but this can simplify things because the pistons up here were being toggled, this was being toggled. So there's a stream here that toggles this piston forward, which toggles these pistons down, and then it's supposed to reverse that. This is going to simplify things where as long as, let's actually destroy that, as long as this is on, that side is on, and then it's off. It's not a toggle. And that's going to make things a little bit easier for me to wire as far as bug fixing goes. Alright, so I'm just watching one of these huts run. It looks like the lights blinked on, and I must say, I usually don't acknowledge lag that much, if you will, but watching these lights blink on is really, it feels just a lot more electronic when the redstone does it, because when the pistons all fired, I don't remember how many it was, if there was like 10 or so pistons that all just, quick push down and forgot their blocks, but you could actually feel just a slight frame dip when that happens, but nope, now they just kind of quietly blink on, and it looks like everything's working. So I moved the redstone block that I showed in the beginning. I can actually illustrate that right here. I just broke it, put it in place, because technically the huts are supposed to be off. And so right now that they're off, which is interesting because I think the huts are actually running. So you can see the clocks are on, which means they'd be harvesting witches, which they can't do because nothing's spawning. So I might go ahead and manually invert the lights. What I can easily do is just break and replace that dust right here, and that'll shut off all the lights for each individual one. And then I'm going to turn that on and turn it off off camera and just kind of tinker with that, and then kind of come back to you guys with the results and see if everything's working as it should. Alright, so thanks to Junction kind of being in the middle of the Ruby Center, I was able to bug fix this. Weirdly enough, I'm not actually getting any spawns from any of the witch huts, but I've turned it off and I'm finding something interesting. So this is what I mean by it's not working properly. These lights are on and the clock is off. That's perfect. That means the spawning is disabled and nothing's being harvested. Over here, we've got a dark hut with the clock being off, which means nothing's ever going to get harvested, but stuff can still spawn up there. Alright, bear with me. This clock is off, you can see nothing's running, and the lights are off. And I don't remember what direction I was just going in, so hopefully this will give me a different result. Off and off. So what I think I've been doing wrong is I've been using this input here, which is supposed to toggle the clock on and off, but it's, I don't know. I don't even, whatever. So what I think I'm going to do is take this piston itself, and whenever this clock is off, I'm going to use this redstone block and have that be my input. And that's going to be trickier for some of these other ones, but it's the only thing I can think of. This piston is the only thing that I can see that actually links to this whole thing being disabled or not. I can't even read from the comparator because when it's running, this is a clock, which means it'll be constantly turning it'll constantly be turning the lights in the huts on and off. So I think this is what I'm going to try, and well, I guess we'll just see if that works. I flew down to troubleshoot this, and curiously enough, the witch huts are supposed to be on right now. I don't even know. This is just... We've done it, kind of. I'm not gonna jump the gun on any celebration, but we had some issues with witches spawning. I assumed something was in some unloaded chunks, so I flew around all the way back to spawn and took care of that, but we are now getting witches spawning. So what I've done is I've just updated the lamps so that they're off by hand. I'm gonna once again toggle this off camera and see if it's properly working automatically, because in a perfect situation we would have a lever that just turns our huts off and then turns them back on, and all we gotta do is flick it, because I do not ever want to have to be doing this again, because this should be a done system. But hey, I can see the witches spawning, so that's working, but let's see how it toggles. Alright, so I think it's finally time that I do something I probably should have done in the beginning, because as I'm flying around these huts, 3 out of the 4 are dark. I haven't actually checked the last one. Okay, so these lights are on. That frustrates me because I would think that all of these work the same, right? So, yeah, I don't really know exactly what's wrong, or okay. But I think I'm gonna see if Junction can trigger these while I watch, just to see, like, because here's the theory. What I've been thinking this entire time is this line turns on once and then turns off when it's off. But if this line triggers even like once or twice or 3 times, etc., then that would be exactly the reason why the huts aren't turning on and off. But I think I'm going to avoid this and go with my first plan, because this piston, inevitably this is either off or this is on, and this correlates exactly with whether or not the clock is on or off. So I think I'm just going to change my input and see if that fixes everything. Okay, it has been like 45 minutes since I last recorded, but I have, because the bedrock has made this trickier than it had to be, but I've now wired it so that every hut turns off and on with the input that turns the clock off and on, so they should be synced up, and that seems to be the case. So I've been checking every hut. I haven't quite turned it off yet, so I'm not going to call this a success. This is a lighting bug. I can't find any source of light that is the cause of that, and I've relogged several times now, and it hasn't fixed it. So I'll look into that with more detail. I know how to fix those, but yeah. I think that is real light, and that will affect rates, but there's no light source. Thanks, Minecraft, and this other one is off too. So yeah, I'm gonna tinker with it here and there, make sure it's working. I've I inverted this, so now the witch huts should be on, and I don't know if anyone's in the. Oh, there you go. We get items, so they are actually running, and we'll see if my changes actually let it toggle. Okay, that seemed to fix it, and I'm really happy about that. Took a little longer than I thought, but you know, a little bit of elbow grease just gave it my full attention and got it done. So it seems like after all, the fix was just changing the input to something a little more reliable. I'm really not sure why the original input I used wasn't working. I didn't wire this up initially, so I'm not going to read into it too much, but it's working now, and I'm happy about that. So finally the witch huts can be toggled on and off. Now down there the little bit of wiring we might have seen was when you turn it off it goes right off, but when you turn it on it waits about 69 items. So I think that's, I don't know, maybe a minute or so, not even. Maybe 30 seconds, I'm not sure. It's supposed to just give a little bit of delay so that people can't spam the huts on and off. But maybe that was messing something up. But as you can see, it's working. So yeah, I'm going to call that a victory. This was supposed to just be a small little project today. So I'm going to end the video there. Hope you guys enjoyed, and thanks for watching.